Dylan Butler, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
We are discussing anything and everything in the midweek, the meat in the sandwich, the second match of 3 in an 8-day period. And yesterday we broke the news that Dylan Butler Estates and NYCFC have a new part owner in Marcelo Claure. 3 years to the day that he got bought out to no longer be a part of Beckham and Friends. And now he is a part of NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates to the valuation of $1.5 billion. So it sounds like it was a $150 million investment by Marcelo Claure. You got the photo of all of the CFG folks, Claure holding up the jersey. So you got new owners holding up jerseys now with NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates. It was an intriguing storyline yesterday where NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates end up getting a new owner that gets his own chair added to the table as a co-vice chair. It's like, yeah, Marcelo, you want in? Okay, cool, great. Well, where am I going to sit? Oh, we'll just pull up another chair. Yeah, you just pull up another chair to the conference table here. We got glass table, glass walls. Your co-vice chair, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and bring up another chair. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is it, 10% ownership?
Yeah,
Not...
so it's 10% to Claure, 10% to the Yankees, and 80% to CFG, City Football Group.
So I'm not sure what that 10% gets you, right? Like,
I know, really.
I mean, a seat at that table for sure, but I almost liken it to just a very expensive season ticket.
Well, I mean, it could very well be, considering that he's got like interest in Girona and interest in Bolivar, and now it's like he's just picking up things. It's like I'm in aisle number 4 I'm at the Wawa, or at Dwayne. I'm at Dwayne Reed. I'm in aisle number 6, and I've got I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this, and by the way, you get to leave Dwayne Reed and you get your photo taken. In the photo booth. I mean, is it legitimately? That's what it just seems like, an investment to add to what Claure is doing across all levels when it comes to what you're staring at with him and CFG's umbrella.
Yeah, part of his what do they call it in the investment world? Part of his portfolio.
Yes, part of the portfolio. Yeah. And so it's interesting, but
and a good time too to jump in. To be honest, right? Like once. We've seen it with other, not to get too like business weekly into this whole thing, but
CNBC down here,
yeah, the teams that have their own stadium, right, and are able then to, get money off of their own stadium and not have to pay rent, like NYCFC has had to do. Mm-hmm. They're usually valued as one of the higher teams in Major League Soccer, right? So to come in now before that happens is, I think, a wise investment.
And that's what investments should be. They should be a wise investment if you are looking at things in that particular vein. Eastern Conference, it is 3 matches in 8 days. It's for everybody. It is 3 matches in 8 days. If not 9.
Almost everybody. Not for the Red Bulls.
Right, because there's, you don't have the double match week in your fantasy with them, and so please adjust your rosters appropriately.
And DC.
Yeah, because like
DC as well.
There wasn't anything last week, but they end up with stuff, this upcoming weekend. We know that the chaos is there.
Yeah.
And it's different kinds of chaos. In the Eastern Conference, it's people trying to climb over each other to get in. It's like they're trying to get on the L, and they're just climbing over the turnstiles. They're trying to climb all over each other, trying to skip paying and try to get on the train so they don't miss it. That's getting into the playoffs. And then you have some positioning, like 3, 4, 5 and that kind of stuff. Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 and see who's fading and what have you. And then in the West, it's at the top where everybody's trying to figure out. And then like 2 through 7, 3 through 7 is an absolute mess. What's it been like for you trying to keep your brain straight with all of these different concepts that are going on here, knowing that we knew it was going to be chaotic. We just thought it was going to be kind of different chaos. In the East, it's getting in. In the West, it's trying to figure out if you can get a home match. What's it been like trying to cover all this madness?
The key is not to make definitive statements.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's a lot of could be's and possibly, and it appears to be, you couch a lot of your statements. But this is what you want, right? I mean, in a league that has so many games and is across so many months, you want the stretch drive to be meaningful for the team that you support, right? Or if you're a casual, or you watch the entire league, you you root for chaos, right? So
Yes.
you want decision day to, you want to have 5 different things up in your tablet and your iPad and your everything, because you can't miss what's happening, and this result will affect 3 other teams, and but that's great, right? Like, who wants it to be already decided by the time the last 2 matches or 3 matches happen? So no, it's been great. It's been fun. It's it's been wild to think, especially like in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're seeing a little bit of a separation. Well, more than a little bit. You're seeing a separation from top 3 down, right?
Right.
And I think you're seeing a separation from 1, and then it's like 1, then 2, 3 are kind of together, and then there's a jumble for 4. Like, it appears that nobody wants that 4th home game, like, or that home game. I'm sorry, in 4th,
Yes.
because Charlotte and the Red Bulls and NYCFC have all had opportunities for quite a while, right? And now Orlando's like, listen, guys, if you're not going to take it, we're going to creep in here and do what we apparently do, which is look terrible for a good chunk of the season and then turn it on late, right? Like the old Seattle Sounders format.
Zombie Sounders, baby.
And then it's like who then gets in at the bottom, right? Like, Chicago gets a win over Red Bulls, like they're not out of it. Like, I mean, I think even technically, you could say New England's not out of it.
Yeah, 6 teams separated by 6. Well,
They have 2 games in hand on 9th place DC.
Yeah, so you've got the bottom 7 separated by 6 points, which is basically 2 wins, which is a hot week, and that's to get in. The bottom 7 separated by 6 points, 2 wins, and the bottom 4 just to knock on the door. You're separated by 4 points, so it is a zoo in the Eastern Conference with 2 separate groups. So let me take it piece at a time. Who is who is the team that you're looking at that is Mr. Upswing? All right, so who's the hot hand right now in the East that you're sitting there saying can make noise either in that group to get in or in that group to get to the second section?
Yeah, I think Orlando, right now they are one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in MLS right now. They were a team we were wondering, are they out? Is Pareja out? And now they appear to be the team most. See, I'm putting in the appear. They appear to be the team most likely to take that 4th spot.
Right.
Which, like if you say all the favorites then in the East win, right, and your final 4 is Miami versus Orlando and Cincy versus Columbus, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Then who's just kind of treading water right now? Who's got the floaties on and is just kind of happy to be in the pool?
Clearly the Red Bulls, right? Like, they cannot get out of their own way. Like, it's honestly, John, kind of mind-boggling, right? Like, you go into this season and you're like, they need a 10 and they need a 9, and boom, Emil Forsberg comes out. They've got their 10, great. So in the summer, get your 9. Hello? Hello? Is there a 9 coming in here? Oh, wait, your 10 has been injured now for 3 months? So with no 10 and no 9, that math equates to not many wins.
Yeah,
which has been the case with the Red Bulls.
so this gives me the chance to do this just as kind of a reminder of what might be happening there. Just as you know.
Penny.
Sheldon.
Yeah, you're looking for that.
I thought you were going Bueller with that, but it does have the same effect.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things. All right, so we know who's on the upswing and who's wearing the floaties, who's just hanging on. Traditionally, it's Oscar Pareja on the slow fade, but it looks more and more like Charlotte is doing the Oscar Pareja impression right now, considering they've only won once since August 1st, I believe.
And that also doesn't define. There's no logic there either, right? Because logic would dictate when you get your highest paid players on the field, when you could finally play with 3 DPs, you should be at your best. And they've not been that. They were at their best earlier in the season when they weren't, as Dean Smith said recently, conceding stupid goals, right? So again, I don't, like you follow this league and you're an expert, and sometimes ish doesn't make sense.
No, that is absolutely true. And when ish doesn't make sense, we bring out the bat signal to bring Nick in. So Nick, as we tour Major League Soccer with Dylan Butler, what is on your mind this morning as we are here with Dylan?
And look, man, there's look. It's the haves and have-nots for a league that that builds itself on parity and the ability for teams to be competitive fairly quickly. It seems like there are some teams that are stuck in the have-not category and seem to be sort of cementing themselves there. And it's going to be interesting, I think, to much to what Dylan was talking about earlier, teams that had an opportunity to go get players at a particular position that was desperately needed and then elected, we'll just sit tight for now. Teams like the Red Bulls, teams like Atlanta, teams that sat there and kind of, hit the pause button on, maybe brought in one player and then and kind of left it at that, 1 or 2 players, and left some key areas unaddressed. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams shake out going forward, because there's this there's this business term out there called the trust thermocline, right? Where, it's so long story short, if the ocean has different levels of temperatures, right? So up to the surface, it's warm. Down below, it gets cool, and those waters really don't mix, right? Because it is like once an object gets below a certain temperature barrier, it's not coming back up. And so somebody associated with like the Harvard Business Review put together this whole flow chart that says that businesses go through the same thing, where after a period of time, the customer trust gets below what's called the trust thermocline, and it is virtually impossible to bring that trust and energy and enthusiasm back. I think teams are going to have to start making some more calculated risk when it comes to the transfer windows. And, much like the Red Bulls, much like Atlanta, say, hey, look, we need to bring in some eyeballs. We need to kind of re-energize and re-enthuse a fan base. I think there's a lot of teams right now that are kind of being very, very conservative on the spending side, and it's not benefiting them and it's not benefiting their fan bases. That's what is on my mind, good sir.
Wow. The trust thermocline. I literally have just started doing this, and Nick is like, there's no second chance to make that first impression is basically what you're staring at. You will not get a second chance to burn trust. Adam Fisher, Medium Magazine, back in 2022. So, Dylan, this is where we're going this morning on
and the waters in Montreal are shark infested, and that shark is named Joey Saputo.
Wow!
Because he is just ready. They stay below that line. Yeah, they're looking at like their 38th new coach in the last 6 years.
Well, and then you invested money in players that have turned out to be much like Dennis Green said in his press conference. We are who we thought they were. And it's just like worst. I mean, their defense, by the way, goal difference for CF Montreal,
yes.
minus 22.
Yeah, that's not the degrees. That's not in Celsius.
No. That is not even Celsius. I mean, like if the Fahrenheit goal difference were to be converted, it might be a little closer to 0. No. That is goal difference. That is flat out goal difference, not in Celsius. That is Fahrenheit at minus 22.
And it's not even the worst. It's not even the worst in the East.
That's bad, man.
Yes.
That is horrendous.
And the teams that are below them, not that you want to give them an out, but like Chicago, look, they're gonna have a whole another restart, right? Sporting director, head coach, the whole thing. Nashville just got a new coach, right? Like New England, first year head coach, so all of those are different levels of a rebuild. Philly will go under. We'll have a big change coming forward, right? Because they ran it back with this group, and they're below the playoff line right now. So
they ran it back.
Atlanta is currently in the middle of that too, right? So, but yeah, no, like Montreal is the one that kind of isn't, and it's not looking good.
No.
See, Atlanta, and Philly are going to be rebuilding, right? And I think what the difference is that, well, actually, a commonality between the two, and I'm sure Jason's going to launch himself through the roof when he hears me say it, is that both teams are in the middle of having to identify a sustainable culture. Like Philly's style has been knife fight in a phone booth every game, right? Which requires a mentality. You have to have players who are 100% mentally engaged in making life hell for the other team, right?
Well, and also Nick, from a player perspective, right? Like this is a team that, they are the academy guys. They are, and then it's finding that like third division German midfielder,
yes,
below a rock that, will do those. Will play that hard game for you.
Right. And from a fan perspective, we talked about that trust thermocline. Again, you have the one commonality I see amongst the Philly fans is that they love their team, but they understand and hate the fact that ownership will consistently choose the cheaper option as opposed to investing in players who will come in, play that aggressive style, and capture interest in eyeballs. And, as a result, you sort of get hammered into playing this particular aggressive style because you are having to make do with that third division German player who was out of the game for 4 years and, ended up going to a D3 university here stateside. Atlanta is going to have to figure out, what kind of culture they want. Is it going to be Seattle East Coast? Is it going to be, Ajax Southeast? I mean, like where everything gets fed through the academy now. And that's, you try to supplement with a few high dollar DPs to get you over the line. I mean, there's a lot of culture shifts that are taking place in MLS. Chicago, it's a revolving door of culture up there because they can't ever seem to get anything with some level of consistency. So it's, if you are a team in MLS right now that has sort of a solidified culture, you're sort of playing with house money at this point.
Nothing like talking. I did not know that we were going to go down the trust thermocline. But I mean, it's a wall pass Wednesday. I get it.
Look, man, I'm on like cup of coffee number 4 right now, man. So I'm like seeing galaxies and nebulas and everything else at this point.
It's amazing how they just kind of sit there and they talk to you. It's like
yes,
stars talk to you.
Speaking of the galaxy,
well, yeah. I mean, you've got
look at that segue.
Well, it's because we haven't talked about the West yet. I mean, LAG right now. By the way, in El Trafico, and that's another thing that drives Jason crazy, is saying El Trafico because he hates that. you're thinking that LAFC, they got a 2-0 lead in El Tráfico, and you're like, we got it. We're under control. And then Joe Totino gets out his number 2 Ticonderoga pencil and sits there and goes, not so fast, my friend. 4 goals in the fourth one coming off of a red card in an 11v10 situation. And now LAG is the one that is steaming away from everybody else. But then all of a sudden, John Thorrington decides to go into the not-so-way-back machine and bring back Carlos Vela for the home stretch. What in the blue-ish is all that about, other than maybe trying to find lightning in a bottle and knowing that you don't have to pay him but $10 and maybe an In-N-Out gift card or something for the remainder of the window?
Yeah, bring out the closer, right? Bring out the righty out of the bullpen, or the lefty because he cuts it onto his left. If again, I think good piece of business for sure, right? Like you said, there's options there, and see what he has left. I mean, it's been a while since he's played, right? A match. So match fitness wise, I mean, the whole thing is, you love to get him. You'd love to get him going for the last maybe 2 matches of the regular season, and have this be your stretch drive. The concern, I guess, on the other side of it is, how does that mess up sort of this continuity that you have in your attacking unit, right? Like you've got guys who for 28, 27 matches have been together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you throw this into the mix. Now, but then again, what is he a super sub?
Is he Gareth Bale all over again?
Possibly. It worked then.
I mean,
well, yeah. As you get into, as you get toward the playoffs, you're going to have to win in different ways, right? So there's going to be some games where you can, playing wide open will get you the result, and then there's going to be some games where the opponent will, chuck everyone back around the 18, including the water boy, the medical assistant, and probably a third owner. And you're going to have to figure out how to break that down. And the ability now for LAFC to say, okay, we're going to put Carlos Vela at the 18 and just roam, find space, and then turn and fire. If you can call him in at like the 65th minute to say, look, go out there and give us a few. I think that's where Carlos Vela could be very helpful for them. I completely agree with Dylan, though, in that what kind of match fitness is this guy going to be in? He's certainly not somebody you can put on from minute 1 and call it good. However, 65th minute, when you got some tired legs and some space presents itself, I can think of some worse guys to have out there than Carlos Vela, even if he's at, even if he is at, maybe 30-40% of who he was.
7 points back, but they have 2 matches in hand, so there really isn't a whole lot of flinching space for LAG. But then we mentioned the chaos in the Western Conference. 2 through 7 separated by 4 points. Right now, LAFC 2 matches in hand on LAG, 48 points. Colorado Salt Lake, 47. Seattle at 46. Vancouver at 45. And I know that Nick is ready to lay down his life for Vanni Sartini at any given moment.
This is accurate.
And Houston, the Dynamo at 44. And then you get into the 8-9, and there's a little bit of space there between the 8 and the 9, which looks like it's fairly safe unless somebody just completely and totally collapses down the stretch, meaning Portland and Minnesota. So it's a different kind of chaos. But 3 through 7, it's really 2 through 7 at the moment, you cannot breathe funny right now in the Western Conference with all that activity going on.
Yeah, I think if you're Salt Lake, you're that team that's that temperature is up now, right? Like, and again, it's part of, I think it's part of the reality of this league is, and Atlanta had something similar, right? Like you get a young prospect, they play really well. There's, I think it was an 8-figure deal on the table. You've got to sell him, right? And that's what Salt Lake did with Andres Gomez. But here's the other part of it, to Nick's point, like, where's the replacement, right? Like, there hasn't been one. And they've not been the same team since that. So, a lot of what he was doing also aided Chicho Arango. Mm-hmm. Arango hasn't been the same player since Gomez left. So, they're struggling right now, and the teams that are rising are, Colorado. And I will again, or not again, but I will say that I think Chris Armas should be in serious contention for Coach of the Year.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I know he won't because Tata Martino will win it because, I don't know.
Well, but I think that Chris Armas should at least be invited to sit in the front row of the New York Athletic Club at the end of the day.
I think it's the definition of what a coach of the year is, right? Yeah. Like, are you the coach of the best team? Is that difficult?
Well,
hey Suarez, hey Messi, hey Busquets, hey Alba.
Yeah, so basically it's like the MVP voting, basically, where Tata Martino did what he was supposed to do with the resources he had on hand, where Chris Armas was given resources, and for the first time in known history, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment actually decided to invest, and they brought in, actually spent money in bringing in Georgi Mihailovic. They trusted Chris Armas with the style of play. Yeah. Do your thing, we'll leave you alone, and you see the results.
And the year-to-year difference in points, I think, with a new coach at the helm, I think should, to me, that's more about Coach of the Year than anything else. But
it feels very NBA-ish to me, where you have like the darling market that is going to get all of the eyeballs and all of the awards, all the accolades. And meanwhile, you have like Denver, you have Denver or OKC or somebody else who, because they're not, the major primetime market eyeball catcher, they're just going to go under the radar and, kind of be ignored for awards and things like that. To me, Armas should be clear as the manager of the year. However, when you have essentially an unlimited ATM at your disposal and you can bring in Messi and co, then you're going to get that sort of NBA treatment.
And in that sense too, Nick, right? Tata is like an NBA coach because he's just managing these big personalities, right?
He's Pat Riley. Yeah. He is, in fact, Pat Riley, and he's not. You just hope that if you're the Moss brothers, that he doesn't turn into Paul Westhead. All right. So, what are your weekend plans, Dylan? What do you?
Weekend? We got games tonight.
Damn, son. What are your midweek plans? What are you up to tonight as you get ready for everything?
Yeah, on the desk tonight. Some good ones. Obviously eyeballs again on Miami, as they always are, right? Like Tata has said that Messi is available for both this match and for the game up in the Bronx on Saturday afternoon. So that should be fun. Houston, Vancouver, I think is a good one tonight, right? Although Herrera's out with a hamstring, and hamstrings are tricky. Like, this is not a good time for. He was already sidelined with the knee at the start of the year, and now to have Ache out with a hamstring, usually those are like at least a month, right? So that is tough for a team like Houston that's been playing some really good soccer as well. So tough one for him. But yeah, listen, and then Portland, LA. I don't know. Listen, John, you love the juice boxes. I don't know what that one says about the over, but I would take it. These are two of the three, or I should say the two highest scoring teams not called Miami in MLS. 1 goal difference between these two teams. They score goals. It's MLS after dark. Perfect scenario for like a 6-5 banger.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily love the juice boxes, but I understand their place, and that's why we talk about them as much as we do. Over under 4, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal and the Composite. Over under of 4 is a plus 122. 4.5 is a plus 169. And then obviously it goes up from there. To your 11-goal banger, over under of 9.5 is at plus 5,000 to go from there. So that's that's what you're staring at least with that particular matchup. So no, I do not have juice boxes to spend. Therefore, I don't spend them because I don't have them. I just understand the place that the juice boxes are when it comes to folks and their day-to-day enjoyment of their particular franchises and leagues.
Yeah, that's an over. That's an over match.
So take the over starting at 4.5. You should be good. Dylan, as always, my friend, thanks for dropping by. We will catch up with you again when your world calms down. Oh, Varsity Media, what's going on?
No, it's good. Rare weekend off, so it's all MLS all the time this weekend.
There you go. All right, all MLS all the time. Oh, what's the mug, by the way?
Little goldfish. Sorry. There you go.
There you go. Be a goldfish. Enjoy your cup of coffee, and be the number one dad. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right, guys.